So in John chapter 2, he's recounting this story, and he says on the third day there was a wedding in the village of Cana, which is in Galilee. He names a specific place, and he says that Jesus and the disciples were invited to this wedding, and Jesus' mum was there. So John was at this wedding. He saw this, and he said this on the third day. I mean, we say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. In the Jewish calendar, they talk about they counted days after the Sabbath as the first, second, and third day. So Sunday, Monday. So this was Tuesday. So effectively saying on Tuesday there was a wedding in the little village of Cana in Galilee, and Jesus was there, and his mum was there, and we don't know quite how, but his mum had some responsibility for the catering, and she was involved in the hospitality, whether she was serving or she was helping to source some of the food. We're not really sure, but she has some responsibilities. And you may be aware that kind of in first century, certainly within the Jewish world, that weddings were a big deal. They went on for a long time. You know, it wasn't just afternoon and evening. It would go on for days and days. It was a massive event. And what we get in this story is they run out of wine through the celebration. All right. Now, this is a massive deal because basically the celebration is over. You know, it's like our weddings where we're serving food and we get to the dessert and we run out of dessert, so half the people are not going to get any. It's a bit embarrassing. Or you get to the evening do and there's dancing and celebration, and the bar runs out of all alcohol and all it's got is orange squash at 9 o'clock at night. It kind of kills the mood, and it's a bit embarrassing for the people who've organised the wedding, that the couple, you know, for days and weeks and years afterwards, they're going to say, do you remember that wedding where we had orange squash from 9 o'clock onwards, or half of us didn't get dessert and just the people on the other side of the room? It's totally embarrassing. And so Mary, Jesus' mother, comes to Jesus and she says, listen, they've run out of wine. And what you'll see through the story is there's loads of hints of things that we don't get told and we're wondering about. And Mary comes to Jesus and says, listen, they've run out of wine, which suggests she thinks Jesus could do something about it. And it makes you wonder what's kind of going on home, what she's seen from Jesus. And we don't know any of that. We just know that she thinks Jesus can help. And initially, Jesus is hesitant. He said, well, it's not right. My time hasn't come yet. And again, we don't know why, but eventually Jesus does agree to do something about it. And he tells the servants to fill up the jars with water, these massive stone jars. And so they do it. Their faith at this point isn't in Jesus, it's in Mary, because Mary, who has some sort of authority around the hospitality, said, just do whatever Jesus tells you to do. And so he tells them to fill up water, and he said, now go and give that water, a cup of it, to the master of ceremonies, all right, to the guy who's overseeing stuff. And he gets it and he tastes it. And normally what happens is in these big wedding feasts that goes on for days and days, that you want the good stuff at the beginning of the week. And as the party goes on, you can get away, because it's going to be expensive, isn't it? Days and days of alcohol and food. That as the days go on, you want to bring out the cheap stuff later as people are a bit tired, a bit worse for wear. And the idea is they don't really notice. And that's the general pattern. And the master of ceremonies tastes this wine and he thinks it's an amazing taste of wine. It's just the deluxe version. And he calls the bridegroom over and praises him. And he says, listen, everyone else, what they do is they save the worst to last because they know everyone's getting worse. But you've done an amazing thing. You've actually saved the best to last. And they enjoy the rest of the wedding. And then the story ends. And John recounts the story. He says, by the way, do you realize that this was a sign? That it wasn't just a miracle where we go, wow, that was impressive. It's a sign that it points to something about Jesus. Actually, through the act of turning water into wine at a wedding, Jesus was actually starting to reveal something about himself, and he reveals his glory. And the question you might want to chew over this week is what is it about Jesus turning water into wine that reveals something about him? Actually, it wasn't just water and wine, was it? That Jesus turned water into the best wine, into the better wine. What is it about Jesus that suggests that he's the better wine?